This is Dante Williams, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
This is Showtime Sean Porter, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So it is official. Pacquiao versus Algieri, November 22nd, Macau, China. Before I talk about how I think this fight may play out, there's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to this fight. The first thing I want to talk about, is this the fighter that fans wanted to see Pacquiao face next? Is it even one of the fighters that fans wanted to see him face next? Will this fight be a successful pay-per-view? Let's first talk about the opponent for Manny Pacquiao. Now, I've told you guys personally, I like this fight, okay? Personally, I like the fight. I think it's a very competitive fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Let's take a deeper look into Chris Algieri's resume. Chris Algieri is the current WBO junior welterweight champion of the world. He just recently beat Ruslan Provodnikov. He has a record of 20 wins and 8 knockouts, and he has never fought at the welterweight division. And by looking at his knockouts, you could clearly see he's not a fighter that is known for his power, right? Now, in terms of his star power, not too many people know who Chris Algieri is, which brings me to my next question. If Bob Arum put together Pacquiao versus Brandon Rios in Macau, China, and that pay-per-view fight turned out to be a disaster when it comes to the numbers. We all know the pay-per-view numbers were less than 500,000, right? And understand this, Brandon Rios, not being the biggest fighter in the world, but he had just came off of Fight of the Year against Mike Alvarado, and he has somewhat of a Mexican fan base, and the pay-per-view numbers were still poor. And then Bob Arum, he said the pay-per-view numbers were so poor because the fight was in China. So the big question is, how does he expect this fight to be bigger than the Brandon Rios fight when Chris Algieri, respectfully, is less known than Brandon Rios was? It doesn't make any sense to me. Unless Bob Arum just doesn't care about the numbers, or he is going to have a killer undercard, one of those golden boy type of undercards, which we already know Bob Arum, he doesn't really believe in having a loaded undercard. So another question is, why did Manny Pacquiao choose Chris Algieri as an opponent? I mean, if you think about it, Manny Pacquiao has been campaigning at the welterweight division for quite some time, all right? Now, on paper, and keep in mind, I say on paper, you had fighters that would seem to look more competitive, fights that seem to be more of a challenge for Manny Pacquiao. Fighters like Robert Guerrero, Amir Khan, Danny Garcia, and if he really wanted to go all the way to the top, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter. There was a lot of fighters that he could have faced, so why did he decide to skip the welterweight division and go down to 140 and fight Chris Algieri? I think we all know why. The answer is simple. Manny Pacquiao, Bob Arum, and Team Pacquiao, they truly believe that this was the easiest opponent on that list for Manny Pacquiao to face next, right? I mean, could there be any other reason why he would do this? And I already told you guys before, after Manny Pacquiao had a little bit of a scare in, I believe, the 6th or 7th round against Tim Bradley, where Tim Bradley, the guy who was supposed to not have too much power, actually staggered Manny Pacquiao. Later on, Freddie Roach would say maybe we need to go down to 140 because these welterweights may be too big for Manny Pacquiao. So I think it's fair to say, regardless if you love or hate Manny Pacquiao, he was definitely looking for the safest opponent to face on November 22nd. But I truly believe that Manny Pacquiao may be in for a little bit of a surprise going up against Chris Algieri. This situation, unfortunately for Manny Pacquiao, is a lose-lose situation. It's a win-win for Chris Algieri. At least that's the way the fight is perceived, because everyone is shitting on Pacquiao right now for taking this fight. The truth is, though, Chris Algieri, he is a good opponent. He is a good fighter. And mark my words, no matter how this fight goes, win, lose, or draw, I truly believe that Algieri will give Manny Pacquiao one of his toughest fights in his entire career. Let me tell you guys why. Now, I know the first thing you're thinking is, Dante, you must be crazy. All the speed and the power that Manny Pacquiao has, how is Chris Algieri going to deal with that? Let me tell you guys this. If you've been following boxing for quite some time or following Manny Pacquiao, then we all know that Manny Pacquiao, he has problems with boxers. He has problems with foot movement in the ring, counterpunching ability, intelligence. Manny Pacquiao shines the most when he's fighting against a flat-footed fighter that comes forward and is easy to hit. This is not Chris Algieri. Algieri is going to have about a 4-inch height advantage over Manny Pacquiao. I assume that means he's going to have a hell of a reach advantage over Manny Pacquiao. Now, Manny Pacquiao, he likes to fight to his own rhythm where he's always juking and moving and, basically trying to psych you out with this rhythm. But you guys know what disrupts a person's rhythm a lot of times? A very good educated jab. And that's exactly what Algieri has. Algieri has a very good jab, okay, along with other tools as well. And I truly believe that Manny Pacquiao is going to have a hard time getting past Algieri's jab. You guys have to understand something. For Manny Pacquiao to be so short, he's going to have to get very close to Algieri. And we know that Manny Pacquiao is not really a comfortable inside fighter, okay? Now, when Chris Algieri was fighting against Ruslan Provodnikov, it seemed like he had a better chance of actually doing some damage in the inside because Ruslan has a vicious left hook. Manny Pacquiao, on the other hand, he does not really have a lead hook. Manny Pacquiao doesn't know how to leap with a lead left hook, like a Floyd Mayweather or a Vladimir Klitschko, right? These are fighters that could just leap in, jump in with a lead left hook and knock you out or knock you down, like we've seen in the past. Now, Manny Pacquiao's hook is mainly used as a check hook. That's usually the only times you really see him using hooks, or unless he has you on the ropes and he's just unloading on you because you're just sitting there doing nothing but blocking. But usually it's a check hook. So he would need a flat-footed fighter to charge after him, and he would hit him with a check hook and he would move out the way like a matador to a bull, right? So those are the times we would usually see Manny Pacquiao using his hooks. But he doesn't use it too often. Manny Pacquiao still, in certain ways, is a one-handed puncher because he doesn't really use his jab that much. His jab is really a push jab to set up the left hand, right? Manny Pacquiao's main weapon is going to be his favorite weapon that we always see him use, which is his left hand. Now, don't get me wrong. He could end up landing that left hand and it could be good night Chris Algieri, right? That is very possible, but I don't believe that that's going to happen, guys. I don't believe that's going to happen. I truly believe that Chris Algieri, he has a better defense than Juan Marquez. I know you guys are probably sitting here saying, are you insane? Are you crazy? Did you see Chris Algieri's eye in the Provodnikov fight? Yeah, I seen his eye, but I'm telling you right now, this man is more crafty, and I truly believe that he is going to be able to frustrate Manny Pacquiao more than Marquez did. I think the jab is going to frustrate the hell out of Manny Pacquiao. Once again, Manny Pacquiao, he's in a tough situation because he's going to have to close the gap. But even once he closes the gap, he's not an inside fighter. So all night, he's going to really be just trying to land that left hand. And, if he doesn't land that left hand, this fight might end up being all Chris Algieri. Now, even though Team Pacquiao believes that this is the safest opponent on the list, I kind of disagree. I'm just looking, like I said, I'm looking at Chris Algieri's natural abilities, his height, his rhythm that he has, and everything else, and I'm seeing this as a very difficult fight for Manny Pacquiao. I can already see the excuses coming in. Oh, Manny Pacquiao is just old and this and that. And it's funny because we've seen this so many times where 1 minute we're criticizing the opponent, saying that guy is a bum and he's this and he's that. Next thing you know, that quote-unquote bum ends up winning the title. And I think Chris Algieri, he may end up being that Cinderella man that wins the title against the big star, the big iconic figure, Manny Pacquiao. So I'm picking the Cinderella Man to pull off the upset. 2014 is the year of the upsets, and I truly believe that this will be the biggest upset of the year. I believe that Chris Algieri is going to surprise a lot of people with his boxing ability. So that's my full breakdown of the fight. You guys can let me know what you think, but just keep in mind, I gave you guys a full analytical breakdown of why I truly believe Chris Algieri is going to pull off the upset, okay? So I don't want to hear nobody crying saying, hey, man, why you got to pick Algieri? Why, this and all that? Just tell me why you disagree. That's all you have to do. Just go ahead and tell me why you disagree. Let's just keep this straight boxing. Stop all that crying and fan talking because you're mad that I didn't pick your guy. Just tell me what you disagree with and we'll keep it moving. I'm on to the next one.